Welcome back to KMI Community Connect viewers. I'll be introducing a new topic to you which some of you might be already familiar with. We're going to talk about something called metabolic adaptation. So before we talk more about this topic, I'm going to show you something that I will be explaining in detail to make you understand what is happening in our bodies. Before I mention the basic concept itself and what I'm talking about. So, if you see, I'm going to use this board here. This is a check mark. You see this like a check mark. If you want to have a shorter tail, that's fine. That's a check mark. So what is this? So I'm going to explain this, and that is what is metabolic adaptation. So, when we put a little bit of restriction or willpower in whatever way we can to lose weight, most of the times there are only three ways that we can put some kind of willful action in our system to lose weight or loosely fat or anything. So there are only three pillars that we can use. First pillar is DR, which is dietary restriction. This is one restriction. The second pillar is CR, which is caloric restriction. The third pillar is TR, which is time restriction. So diet restriction, caloric restriction, time restriction. So what is diet? Diet is specific quality. It is a type of food that you are restricting. Like, let's say you restrict milk or potato or anything like that, depending on what you are restricting. Caloric restriction is quantity. And then time restriction obviously is time. You are limiting the intake of food or something, or you're eating the food during a certain time. So that's time restriction. The so-called all the loose terms that we see like intermittent fasting or time restricted eating or 1 meal a day and all that. So these are the only three ways that we can put our system by what is called as using something like loosely a willpower. That means there is a voluntary effort to use any one of these or a mixture of these or one or two of these, more of these, or combinations using our willpower or an effort. So this is restriction that we are doing. So when that happens, and when we do something like that, you see the general trend here is, if this is the time here, and on this axis, if this is the weight that's coming down, you see that gradually your weight comes down. Let's say this is 6 months, for example, 6 months, it stays like that, and then you slowly see things going up, 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 going up. That looks something like this, a check mark. So what is this? This is weight loss here, and this is back here is weight regain, and this part is where we call as weight maintenance. Okay, now, so this is the voluntary willpower that we do through various ways, and this is what is happening, what the biology is doing on the opposite side to bring it back. So willpower and biology that is working against what you did, not necessarily against, but this is what the body is doing. This is how the body regulates itself. So what is happening in this process? This is not for you to get discouraged if you think that I'm trying to say that whatever you do, the biology fights it to gain the weight back. what the body essentially is doing is defending its previous weight. So let's say, for instance, this is how the body works. Let's say, for instance, your weight is 150 pounds. And if you do this willpower and go somewhere to 130 pounds, what happens? According to this, what I showed, when the biology acts back, it's going to try to take you back to 150. So this is weight regain. What I said here, this is trying to pull it back, trying to pull it back to defend its previous weight. It is trying to defend previous weight. So weight regain. So when people try to lose weight, what is their first goal? Is not talk about coming to 130. Their first goal is not going back to 150, because the body is trying to defend the previous weight. So maintaining at 130 is your goal, or not going back to 150 is your goal. So that's the difference. And this is called the weight, the body trying to go back to its previous weight is what is called as metabolic adaptation. Adaptation. The body is trying to adapt to the new forces that you used and then trying to go back to its previous ways. How does this happen? This happens by various hormones and the brain. You have brain, that's, I'm going to put this in red, the brain, not a good picture, but brain, and the hormones. I'm going to mark this in a different color. Now hormones, you have one hormone which is a hunger hormone, that's called ghrelin. That's the one hormone on one side, and you have about 10 hormones on the other side which are satiety hormones, trying to stop the one effect of the hunger hormone on one side. I can list multiple names like this, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, you will be confused with all those intestinal hormones and all that act on the brain for causing satiety, and there's only one hormone which is acting opposite for the hunger. So this is how our body works, and this is what is called as metabolic adaptation. I'm going to introduce this more and more into your understanding when we talk about the chemistry and more detailed topics when I talk. But since we talked about the 7 pillars and the diet, I thought I should mention about the nutrition and the diet and energy part, what we normally do and what the body does and what is expected. So if you have a better understanding about how the body works, then you will not approach this like a weight loss. You're going to approach this like we should not try to address weight loss to get healthy. We should try to address health to get weight loss. So weight is a consequence. Health, if you approach health, weight loss will happen as a consequence. It is never a cause, because if you look at it as a cause for any problem, then we will not be addressing the right way. This is for you to get a better perception about why we do and address weight, which is a consequence. Don't address the weight. Address the health and understand how the body works with their hormones working in different directions. Then the fat loss or the weight loss, whatever will happen if you embrace the system by understanding how the hormones work and how the brain works. I will see you very soon in my next topic again. Thank you for your time.